Many times when we go out to adventure, we think of the glory and the awesomeness that awaits. But the thing is nothing in this world is free. Everything has a price. Today I want to talk about the cost of adventure because it's not always as simple as I take a step out the door and boom, I am on the adventure. Sometimes you have to consider the prep work involved and you have to consider what is the cost. One such thing is the time investment. If you know that you're about to step forth on an epic journey, how much time is this going to cost you? You've only got so much time in this adventuring world, both in-game and out of game. What is the time investment involved? If your character is going to show up to an adventure and they know that it's going to take years and years, maybe they'll reconsider it. In the same time, if you show up to the table and your DM tells you that it's going to be years and years, maybe you'll reconsider it too. It really comes down to what's going on in your life, the time investment of how many hours you can play a week, and how likely it is that this adventure is going to go on for a long time. So you got to consider both the in-game and out-of-game time. You should also be considering the wear and tear. This wear and tear could be on the PCs in particular. Maybe they're physically and mentally strained. This could be potentially on their gear. Their gear can degrade over time. But also the wear and tear on you. Because maybe if you are playing in a game, maybe there's too much of one thing going on, one theme in particular, and it gets real stale real quick. The wear and tear on you is going to directly influence what's going on and how much investment you are getting in this game. We also have to think about the gold sink. Your characters are presumably spending gold in the hopes that they are going to make gold. They're going to buy items to outfit themselves. They're going to help out some of their friends, and they're going to try and build things. Once again, these are investments. They are spending gold to try and make gold. At the same time, you are presumably spending money on the game. Whether that be you are buying things such as books and supplements and minis and dice, or you're spending a bunch of time in it, and guess what? Time is money. For some people, this investment isn't that big of a deal, but for some people, it is quite a lot. If you are strapped for cash, then you should reconsider buying up a whole bunch of extra books and dice and whatever else. Now, when it comes to greasing wheels, the characters are constantly interacting with NPCs, and sometimes it takes a lot to get these NPCs to give you what you want from them. This could be in the form of favors, this could be in the form of gold, this could be in the form of information. From a player's perspective, getting the NPCs to give the player characters what they need is quite a handful. At the same time, you as a GM are presumably going to have to grease wheels and convince them to show up to the table every single time. For some people this is easy because your players want to show up because you're running an awesome game. But for some people, maybe the investment isn't worthwhile because they have too many things going on, they have too many responsibilities, and it gets harder and harder to convince people to show back up to the table. Now, when all said and done, we have to take a look at the return on investment. When you combine all these things for your player characters, are they going to be able to get more out of it? If they spend the time, if they spend the gold, if they grease all the palms, are they going to be able to get back whatever they spent and more? Hopefully, yes. Hopefully you provide them the opportunity that they are able to get something out of it. At the same time, you have to ask yourself, is there going to be a return on investment? If I show up to the table once a week for 3 hours for a year, will that time have been worth it? Will I have had a great time, or will it be a waste of time? That return on investment is what's going to prompt future campaigns. If the return on investment is not good enough, then I'm willing to bet most players are going to try to move on to something else. The cost of adventure is something extremely worthwhile thinking about, both in-game and out-of-game. And the funny thing is that they both coincide. They both reflect on each other. If one is not going well, I'm willing to bet the other one isn't either. At the same time, if one is going well, then there's probably a good chance that the other one is doing well as well. Keep the cost of venture in mind when you are running your games, and make sure that your players are getting a return on their investment. So go ahead and tell me, do you see the parallels between your player characters and the players, or do you think that the two are too distinct? Do you perhaps not see time and gold as actual investments, and maybe you should be reflecting on something else? And when you run and play in games, are you thinking about the return on investment, or are you just trying to sit down and have a good time? Go ahead and tell me these things because I would love to hear it. But that's going to do it for me. Thank you for watching. Thanks for listening. And thank you to my amazing patrons. You guys are absolutely incredible. Thank you so very much. and I cannot wait to see you all in the next one.